Hey guys, what's up? This is Dingo Crikey here with another commentary video. This time I'm going to be doing a discussion topic on Transformers 5. If you guys are interested in more commentary and discussion on Transformers 5, the Transformers 4 Age of Extinction toy line, or Transformers in general, please check out my playlist and channel where I also have a number of Transformers stop motion videos, some of which are previewed here. But for this video in particular, I'm going to be discussing who will lead the Autobots in Transformers 5. Just heads up to anyone, this video will contain spoilers for Transformers 4 Age of Extinction, so if you haven't seen the film yet or you're really concerned about that, you've been warned. So speaking of Transformers Age of Extinction spoilers, let's start this video at the end of the film. We have Optimus Prime going off into space with something like the seed as he's going to take it away from Earth and also looking to find the creators and possibly combat them. And basically by the end of the film we're given the impression that Optimus Prime is leaving Earth and he doesn't plan on returning anytime soon or possibly ever. So basically we have the Autobots along with the Yeager family on Earth without Optimus Prime. Despite Optimus Prime's monologue at the end of the film, I think it's pretty safe to say that sometime during Transformers 5, he will return to Earth. Even if he doesn't during the 5th film, I think he definitely would have by the 6th film, so I think he is going to return and retake command of the Autobots. But there's definitely going to be a need for leadership in Optimus's absence. Now this issue may just be overlooked if there's something like a time skip and Optimus has already returned to Earth, or in the beginning of the film the time skip has happened, Optimus returns and then maybe recounts the events that have happened with the creators and while he was off in space to the other characters, so they don't really need to deal with that issue. I mean, they could simply ignore the issue with making the Autobots just do a democracy type thing, which wouldn't really make sense because they're more of a military unit, but these movies aren't big on sense. Or they could just be working with the humans again, and the humans could just keep him in a garage or something like that. Even though I really don't like that idea, I didn't like how they kind of did it in Revenge of the Fallen. I don't think it would really make much sense at all after TF4. I don't think the Autobots would let that happen to themselves. But overall, I do think they are going to deal with the issue. We will have Optimus off in space during the first half of the movie, and there will be a new leader of the Autobots. Now, I think there's two major possibilities as far as that idea goes. One of them is that one of the current Earth Autobots takes command of the team. I mean, that would make a lot of sense. Or the other big possibility is that new Autobots arrive, something like the Elite Guard as we've seen in Transformers Animated, and, there's a leader of these new Autobots and they just assume command of the group on Earth as well. And I guess I could say that a third possibility is an Autobot who was absent in TF4, such as Sideswipe, may return and take charge of the team, but I really think that's unlikely. As far as the topic as whether or not Autobots who were absent in TF4 will return in the TF5 film, I've talked about that before in the past, specifically on a video called Transformers 5 Will Sideswipe Return? And you can hear that if you want to hear me elaborate more on the subject. But as far as them taking charge, even if they do return, I just don't think it's likely, especially since none of the bots who would be returning are really like the leader type. But I really don't think they're going to go that route, so that leaves us with one of the current 4 Autobots, or 5 if you include Brains, but let's be serious here, or a new Autobot character who probably comes on a ship or somewhere through space and comes across our 4 current Autobots. Looking at that aspect of them using a new character to come in and lead the Autobots, I mean, there are a lot of different possibilities, but I think you can narrow it down to a few most likely ones. Out of those, I would start with Ultra Magnus. For one thing, in G1, around the time when we were seeing Galvatron, the Transformers creators being revealed, all that kind of stuff was going on. We had Ultra Magnus's character introduced a little bit before that, but still close enough that would line up pretty well with G1 events. In Generation 1, he was also in charge of the Autobots for a certain period of time. And then we had him appear in Transformers Prime with kind of a similar role. In Optimus's absence, he shows up and basically assumes command of the Autobots. And in Transformers Animated, he was a high-ranking Autobot who arrived on Earth periodically and gave out orders, did all that leader-type stuff. But anyways, he's a character who's been active in the franchise. We've had different Ultra Magnus figures. He's appeared a lot in the comic books. Obviously in Prime, he had a pretty big role. So while nothing can be confirmed yet, and it's all just speculation, I think there's a possibility it could be Magnus. Also, if they were going to do something similar to Transformers Prime, they could have him be kind of stringent and impersonal. So that would add a lot of contrast to Optimus Prime's character, who a lot of people really love. And obviously the Autobots really respect him, whereas Ultra Magnus, some people have a chip on their shoulder when it comes to him. Also, he could have a really cool fight scene against Galvatron. They could possibly kill him off there. Either way, he could have a cool fight with him, and I think he'd be a really cool one to see in movie design. Another really cool character to see become leader would be Rodimus Prime. Yeah, this is one a lot of people have been wanting to see in the films for a long time, and I think a lot of people like to see him in Transformers media, despite all the hate he gets. Either way, he does seem to shake things up a bit when he's brought into the story. This would also line up with G1 events, as it would with Magnus, having the appearance of Galvatron, possibly the Quintessons, and then having Rodimus assume command of the Autobots in Optimus's absence. We had that happen in G1 as he eventually became Rodimus Prime and the leader of the Autobots. He would be a different type of leader than Optimus, probably not in the same ways that Magnus would contrast Optimus, but more in the young and less experienced kind of way. I think he could look really cool movie style too. Seeing something like the car with a trailer on the back would be really unique. If they could pull that off, that would be awesome. And he has the fire on him, so that would resemble Optimus. Be pretty cool. A quick side note on Rodimus, they could also have him as a servant of the creators, kind of like what he did in Energon, without spoiling too much. But I don't really find that too likely. It just would feel like a little bit of a weird place to put Rodimus, and Energon isn't the most commonly referenced and homaged show out of Transformers history, so that might be kind of cool. I don't see them doing that. You can never count out the possibility that they'll just come up with an entirely new character and, he'll be the new leader of the Autobots with no previous Transformers history, something like that. It would be a little bit less exciting for a lot of us older fans, but, they could go that way. They could also do someone like Wingsaber. Personally, I don't know a whole lot about his character, but I believe he was the leader of the Autobots in Transformers Victory, a Japanese television series. And I think his design could look really cool in movie style, but I don't think that's very likely. Maybe he'll be in one of the next two movies, but I doubt he'll be the leader of the Autobots. And then Grimlock. No, that would be kind of funny. He'll probably try to take leadership, but eventually, he'll follow orders. So with that aside, we have the main Autobots on Earth as a possibility. So out of the 4 candidates, we can take a look at them all. I would definitely say Crosshairs is the least likely to be the leader out of the team. He's just too stubborn, a little bit too self-absorbed, at least from what we can tell. Just doesn't seem like leader material. Drift, no, seems like too much of a loner, quiet guy. Hound, I think that's somewhat likely. He is a little bit dumb, a little bumbling, but he's still tough. He has the size thing going, and I think it's pretty safe to say that overall audiences like him as a character, so he'd probably get positive reception in that role. But I think the most likely one is definitely Bumblebee. I think there's a very, very good chance that Bumblebee will be the new leader of the Autobots in Optimus's absence. I think that there are a number of reasons to back this up as well. For one thing, people are already used to Bumblebee. He's been in 4 Transformer films, and overall the audiences like him, so they would accept him as being leader of the Autobots. Him being the young leader, kind of bumbling around a little bit. But, being courageous, confident, and all those kind of good things, I think people would like seeing Bumblebee as the leader of the Autobots. Also, the past 4 movies have shown us that Bumblebee has a lot of battle experience. Hound was pretty tough out there, and I guess the other guys were too, for what we've seen them fighting. But, we're pretty familiar with Bumblebee as a fighter, so, he's had a lot of experience. It would kind of makes sense for them to give him the role of leadership. And I think one of the biggest things is that we know he's going to be the leader of the Autobots in the new upcoming Transformers Robots in Disguise cartoon. I think the cartoons give us hints as to what we can expect in the movies a lot of the time. For example, Transformers Prime really capitalized on the idea of beast Transformers. Though they were in the forms of Predacons rather than Dinobots, they were reintroducing Transformer fans to this idea, and voila, in Transformers 4 we get the Dinobots. So I think they parallel them. There are other instances in the past as well, and I think his leading of the Autobots in the new Transformers cartoon is a pretty good sign that he will lead the Autobots in TF5. And I do think if Bumblebee is the leader in TF5, Cade Yeager or someone will definitely have fixed his voice and Bumblebee will be speaking again. Now, whether or not they use Mark Ryan to voice him, I don't really know. They might not. Either way, I don't think people would criticize that too much. It's been like 4 movies already, and he only had one line in that first one. So overall, what I think they're going to do is have Bumblebee be commander of the Autobots, and I do think there is a pretty good chance they'll bring in some new Autobot characters. Whether they'll conflict with Bumblebee's leadership or not, that's kind of hard to say at this point. What I would personally like to see, and I do think there's a pretty good chance we could see this, is have Bumblebee be the new leader of the Autobots. Maybe him and Hound kind of share leadership, but ultimately Bumblebee's the guy who gives the last word. But have new Autobot forces such as Ultra Magnus and the Elite Guard, or Rodimus, come in and kind of assume command like it's entitled to them. And that would definitely cause some cool conflict between Bumblebee's group of Autobots and the new group of Autobots. And then I think that'd be really cool to see how the group might have some conflicts and that kind of thing, and who the Dinobots would ultimately side with, though I think it would probably be Bumblebee's group. But anyway, they would have to deal with the conflict of Galvatron, possibly lingering things going on with the humans, all of this kind of stuff. And I think a good conflict would be Bumblebee wanting to hold on to a lot of Optimus's ways, which are a lot more idealistic, but from a traditional view can be justified as right, whereas Ultra Magnus's guys think a lot more logically, and while they're effective in that area, they kind of just throw morals out the window, and while they still keep them around in name, they don't really hold those values. They might not be concerned about protecting the humans or casualties in the conflict. Ultra Magnus might be more like military leaders who are really, really detached to their troops, whereas Optimus, we were given the impression that he cared about them more, even though he should have showed some more remorse over Einhard and Jazz's death. We're given the idea they're supposed to care about them. Ultra Magnus, I think, should be more of a detached leader. He just sees it as they're fulfilling their duties, and this is what the troops are supposed to do. And, when Ultra Magnus starts treating some of Bumblebee's Autobots, or like Hound and Drift like that, that obviously makes him kind of upset. So I think that'd be really cool to see. I could kind of see them taking that direction. I don't know how deep they would go with it, but, I think that'd be pretty cool, and I do think it's a possibility. But in a nutshell, I do think Bumblebee is going to assume command of the Autobots, and until Optimus Prime returns, he probably will be the leader. Whether Ultra Magnus or Rodimus try to take command at a certain point, I do think Bumblebee is going to be the guy who the rest of the Autobots listen to. But anyways, in summary, that's my thoughts on it. You guys can leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Who do you want to see take command of the Autobots in Optimus's absence? Do you think they'll really have a commander? How high do you think the chances are that they'll just do a time skip? Or maybe most of Transformers 5 will take place with Optimus's story in space and finding the creators and new Autobot characters altogether, and maybe not until the end we'll actually have some footage on Earth. Who knows? That would be pretty cool, but I doubt they'd go that direction. Maybe you guys think they would. Leave that in the comment section below, along with any topic suggestions if you have them, that could pertain to Transformers 5, the Transformers 4 Age of Extinction toy line, or to Transformers in general. I have gotten quite a good amount of Transformer 5 topics. I am working on doing those. People have been wanting me to give my thoughts on different characters and what my opinions are, if they'll appear in the film or what I want them to appear in the film. I might do a video covering a lot of different characters, so, if you want want me to cover a certain character in my video that I do on that, just drop it off in the comments section. And as long as you have topic ideas, feel free to keep them coming. I don't get to them like super fast. I do about 2 videos a week, so I do try to get around to them though. But thanks a lot. I appreciate them. Appreciate all the support, the views, subscribers. Thanks a lot, guys. And that's about all I have for this video. As always, if you haven't checked out my previous Transformers commentary videos and you're interested in them, in different Transformers discussion topics and such, feel free to go back and check those out. And also check out my Transformers stop motion videos. As I said, I have 20 of them on my channel, and more Transformers stop motion videos are currently in the works. So stay tuned for that, and more Transformers commentary videos. Have a good one, guys.